What is up? It's the Wilbur and Gold Show, episode 13. Hope everybody's doing well. It is a Wednesday. I'll give you the actual date here in just 2 seconds. Wednesday, September the 9th. Hope everybody's doing well. It's been a few weeks since I've done a show. T-minus 5. How many days till football? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 4. Because it's already almost late afternoon on this beautiful Wednesday. So we're about 4.5 days away from football. NFL to be specific. I'm actually not 100% sure on the start date for college. God, I'm so excited. I know you guys can feel it too. Especially those of you who really get into football season heavy, tradition and things like that. I know for me, I think for this weekend, it's going to be me and my buddy over at his house. He's going to be cooking up some chili, some buffalo dip, something. Of course, we're going to be cracking open some cold beer. You got to have cold beer. I've personally switched over to liking wine a little more than I have beer just because, I don't know. I started out when I started tasting. Just had a random pain in my side. That's random. Just random pain in my side right as I start the show. Anyway, I started out, when I started drinking different alcoholic beverages, if you will. I started out more into craft beers than I did wine. I don't even know when in my alcoholic experiences that I started drinking wine. It's a little further down the road. But I've become more of I wouldn't say avid because I don't drink it a lot, but when I drink mostly wine. That's become my preference, and I've kind of, sadly, now that I think about it here lately, I've gone away from craft beer a little, not just craft, but beer in general, just because I like wine more for some reason. I don't know if it's because I feel more fucking classy when I drink it, some James Bond type shit. I don't fucking know. I will say a big reason I favor wine now over beer a lot of the time is because you don't get bloated when you drink wine, at least, when you're not drinking champagne and the bubbly stuff. You don't get bloated and I hate the bloated feeling. I hate it. Especially when I'm out. If I'm at home or if I'm just lounging at a friend's house, I don't fucking care if I'm bloated. But if I'm out drinking socially around people, I don't want to look or feel bloated. And I don't think most people would. So I think that's actually a subconscious reason why I prefer wine to beer. So there's a fun little fact to get us kicked off today on a Wednesday, 4 days away from football. What else? Oh, but actually, since we're on the subject of beer and things like that, I'm going to tell you about a beer that my buddy sampled at a sports bar we go to probably about once a week, usually on Mondays, here in, I live in High Point at the moment, but this bar's in Greensboro. And for those of you who live in the Greensboro, High Point Triad area, Jake's Billiards, if you've ever been there, you know this. The beer is fairly new. I forget. Oh, no, I don't. It was called Netflix and Dill. Netflix and Dill. So it's a pickle flavored beer. God, the shit was so good. My buddy got a sample of it. And he let me finish it off. He had some, his girlfriend had a taste, and then he let me finish it off. It was really good. Really, really good. If you ever get it was a little salty flavored. In fact, you can look up the review for it, I think, on, what's the app called? Untapped. This is not sponsored, Untapped, but if you're in the market, give me a call. By the phone. No, they rated it. It was actually funny. My buddy asked me because we were actually. The camera just got really weird looking. My buddy got a little intrigued by it Hang on, let me see if I can fix the lighting in here. That's going to bother me. Okay, never mind. There we go. Had to refocus. My buddy even asked me just to guess because he looked it up a little bit later because we got curious about this beer. It was very salt. I mean, it tasted like pickle, but it had a really salty kind of flavor to it. And weirdly, like, we were really surprised how good it was. I'm not sure. I don't know. I guess because you don't typically think a dill maybe flavored beer would be that great. Like I've had a jalapeno flavored beer at Raleigh Beer Garden, which is one of my favorite spots in Raleigh. Kind of like Jake's is one of my favorite spots here in Greensboro for, sports bar and beer type atmosphere. I was not as big of a fan. Of course, I like pickle flavored things more than jalapeno flavored things. The beer, in fact, little side note when it comes to drinking a wine or a beer or really any beverage, I guess. If you like it, if you say, so for me, this jalapeno flavored beer, I liked it more when it was like really cold, like when you first get it. You might even get it in a frosty mug or something like that. But as it gets warm, it becomes not as good. Here's a side note about that. If you try something, a beer, a wine, doesn't even have to be an alcoholic drink, whatever it is, but I guess specifically for beer and wine tasters, and if you try something and you say, kind of like I just did, it was only really good when it was really cold, that means that you really didn't care for it that much, the flavor, because when it's really, really cold when you first get it, it actually kind of masks and hides the flavor a little bit. That's actually a little something I learned from a wine taster, is that if you really like it when it's cold, and then as it gets warm, you tend to not like it so much, or it's not as good, that means, because the cold, like I said, the cold just masks the actual flavor, because I guess that burst of cold that you get along with the little bit of the flavor, but as it gets warm, you get a lot more of the flavor. And that's when you really are able to tell if you like something or if something's good or not. So that's a fun little side note. So, but this dill flavored beer was unbelievable. Like it was so good. And my buddy, we looked it up a little bit afterwards. Netflix and Dill is what it's called. Look it up if you're into craft beers, and things like that. He asked me, he's like, what do you think Untapped would rate this? Cause I mean, he already had the answer in front of me. He just asked me. I mean, I've learned that when you don't know something as well, or something seems like it's great at first, but you're not that educated on it, it's better to take the under than the over, because a lot of times people get carried away and go with the over and then they get busted. I just want, because naturally I kind of wanted to say, I don't know, 4.0, something like that, because I thought it was good to me just on first instinct. But I remember, like, well, let me go with the under. These are actual wine and beer experts that are rating this. So I said 3.5, and it turned out to be a 3.6. So trust your gut on things. I went with the under because I wasn't completely educated. I liked it, but I might have been getting carried away with a 4.0. It was a 3.6, but still, Netflix and Dill. I have no idea where you can get it other than Jake's Billiards in Greensboro at the moment. I've never seen it at a Total Wine or anything like that. I would just look it up, see if you have Untapped, maybe where they have it, but shit was good. So football, that was how I got on that fucking tangent. Football 4 days away. A lot of food. The reason I got on the whole beer tangent thing is because me and my buddy, we're going to be at his house watching the games as usual. It's kind of our tradition when I'm around. We make food. We always used to have a joke back in the day. Back in the day when we would watch football together or watch anything together, we had this joke that it's me, my buddy Patrick, and my buddy Sebastian. We're kind of the three amigos. And Sebastian and his mom would obviously cook food there because a lot of times we would go to his place. now that he lives further away, I go to Patrick. Sebastian isn't able to join us as much anymore. But back in the day when we went to Sebastian, his mom and dad, they'd cook us up something there. And so they would have food there. Patrick is a really good cook. So he would cook something. And then I would just come and they would say I came and brought my Sebastian brought food, Patrick brought food, I brought my appetite. So that's how that went. I've since started bringing the dessert. We usually go with a Hershey cream pie. I forget who makes it. God, it's so good. It's like with the crust, the pie crust, the graham cracker part of the pie. It's Hershey's flavored, and it's just if you've seen it, I forget who makes it. But if you know what I'm talking about, I mean, this stuff is so good. But usually we go chili, buffalo dip. I bring that pie. Beer. We got good beer. And then it's football and me fucking checking my fantasy points every fucking 5 seconds because I just love it so much. We did our fantasy draft actually this past weekend. So when that happens, we are that much closer to actual football. I'm actually really happy with my my roster that I got. I picked up Christian McCaffrey for the first time in his career. I don't know. I've always had a fairly high spot in the draft every year we've done it. And the last 2 years prior to this one, were the years that McCaffrey, I mean, and if you follow this closely, you're a Panther fan, McCaffrey just gets a little higher, a little higher, a little higher. And now he's the highest rated, highest paid running back. So we'll see how it goes this year. Big Panther fan over here. But no, the 2 years prior, like I had an opportunity to get McCaffrey, but I didn't. I think 1 year I went with Fournette, who just went to the Buccaneers from the Jags, and the other day was like, oh, I actually have a quarterback for the first time ever, throwing a little shade at Gardner Minshew and Blake Bortles. Oh, that fucking train wreck. No, but I think I got Fournette 1 year. I'm trying to remember who I didn't have Fournette last year. I've pretty religiously picked, and it's actually interesting. I've religiously picked a running back with my first pick and maybe even second pick every year. And I pointed out to Patrick this year. I mean, speak of the devil, there's a fantasy alert there. You didn't get anything other than running backs the first 15 slots, if you do it through ESPN, and I'm sure I've done it 1 year through Yahoo football. I didn't enjoy it as much. ESPN, I think, does the best setup for fantasy. I noticed this year, and maybe it's like this every year, like the first 15, 16 even slots, as far as player rankings to take, they were all running backs. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. I think Jamal Adams, who I took from the Packers, their wide receiver, I think he was the highest rated wide receiver, which was interesting and not, and I could be wrong. Maybe somebody took Hopkins before I got to him, but I thought maybe DeAndre Hopkins would be the highest rated. OBJ, even though in theory he's probably the best receiver, he's been really hit and miss in fantasy terms. And then obviously Antonio Brown isn't, I mean, he's there. I looked him up. He was a free agent, but I mean, he's obviously was out pretty much all of last year. So he didn't have anything to put up to be high in the rankings. So, and who knows if he'll even ever play again, or even if he does, will he stay on the roster? Is he going to do something stupid? I would go with the latter. So anyway, football 4 days away. You can tell, like, I'm fucking jazzed up. I'm almost 15 minutes into the video of the episode, and I'm ready for football. I'm so ready. I tweeted it a few weeks ago. Like, I was trying to figure out something. Like, sometimes just thoughts will pop in my head, and if I haven't tweeted something in a while, I'll just think of something to tweet. And this particular day, like, literally, I don't know what it was. Like, maybe I'd been playing Madden or saw a commercial. I just missed foot. Like, just this weekend, you could smell, at least here around the Triad of North Carolina, you could smell fall in the air. And you know what I'm talking about, like when you can smell fall coming and you can smell spring coming, like you know what I'm talking about. You can just smell it and feel it in the air. I mean, it was 80 degrees this past Saturday, but yet you could just feel fall in the air, which means football it's coming in the holidays and just the whole shebang. But yeah, I just tweeted, I was like, I fucking miss football. That's it. That's the tweet. And that was it. It just, I'm so ready for football. And I know you guys are too as well. I had a few things because I haven't done an episode in a couple weeks. And, you know, as the NBA playoffs have unfolded and, you know, NFL obviously a few days away, as I feel like I've said about 10 times up to this point. I'm just so fucking jazzed up about it. I've got a few things that I jotted down that I might want to get into. I want to kind of start branching out of just sports content on this show. I mean, just because like there's so many other things that like I kind of want to get into. That's one thing I've struggled with a little bit on the show, and you know, a lot of people struggle with just in general is trying to figure out. They've got so many interests that, you know, they say they want to go all in on this, but yet they find themselves wanting to kind of branch over into here. Like for me, this show has been almost it's kind of weird. This show, you know, I've done 13 episodes over the last year and a half, kind of. I have not been consistent with it. You know, the first few episodes, I had no idea what I wanted to do with it, so I just talked about whatever. As I started to get more into actual professional sports media, because I interned at a sports radio show for the last year up until about this past March. Then I'm like, okay, well, let's just go all sports. I mean, obviously I love sports. I know a lot about sports. You know, I've always loved sports across the board. So I was like, all right, let's just go sports mainly and pretty much only sports. And then I started thinking, I started thinking the other day, I would kind of like this just to be like anything that I'm thinking about. Like it could be sports, it could be Star Wars, because I love Star Wars. I mean, you see the posters back there. Like I love Game of Thrones. We may be getting a prequel series sometime in the next couple of years. Maybe. I thought it was I don't know why Siri just activated. HBO supposedly canceled the Game of Thrones prequel series, and then apparently a few months ago I saw that they're already casting for it and it's back on. I don't know. I haven't dived deep into that actually in a while. You know, video games, you know, you got the new Star Wars Squadrons coming out, Madden, 2K, PS5, still waiting on a release day. Xbox announced theirs yesterday, the release day and the price, which means inevitably PS5 is only days away from probably releasing it as well, because you know those two are always going at each other. So, and just life talk in general, like stuff I'm dealing with that might be able to help you out, you know, stuff you're dealing with that I could learn from, like just as this builds, you know, and I'm going to have to do it more consistent than I have been in order to do that. But I don't know. I've gone from starting this show and not knowing really what I wanted to get into to, all right, all sports. That's it. Like a sports show. And now I'm coming back around to, as I've gotten into more things and gotten more educated on more things, like I just want this to be like whatever. Like this is my show, and there's a lot of things I'm interested in that you also might be interested in, and I just don't want this to be in one genre. You know, I just don't. Like I wanted to be kind of unique to things I know a lot about, so hopefully that could bring you more value. Like I don't know. I wanted to be kind of more unique than just sports show. Like, oh, I like sports, a sports show. So that's kind of a personal rant just to say this actually in the bigger picture that could hopefully bring you some value. Don't be afraid to taste things. In other words, don't be afraid to try things. Like I was thinking about this the other day. You know, a lot of times people can. So, okay, for me, Like, I know what I want to do, like what I think my purpose is in the big picture of life, like what I think I'm meant for. And a lot of other people do as well. You know, they know what they think their thing is, or a couple of things that they're into, and that they just feel like they're built for it. A lot of people, however, and I know some personally, they have maybe things they think they might be interested in, but they don't know, and they almost feel like, you know, Oprah, I heard her say something a long time ago in a video that I came across on YouTube, is that you need to figure out your purpose, or else you're just kind of wandering around here. I would flip that. There is zero, and this is a thing, you know, people can judge themselves and beat themselves up because they feel like they're wandering. They feel that sense of being all over the place because they just don't know what they want to do, because they're young. They're barely started, if at all. Like, they don't know what they want to do, and they beat themselves up for that because other people probably judge them for that, and they feel that, whether that's their parents or their friends or whoever, which the parents and the friends, closest friends, that's the worst, because it's like, why are you judging me for that? I thought you were in my corner. And the fact of the matter is, if you don't know what your purpose is, and again, this is the beauty of me feeling like there's more, can be more to the show than just sports or just one genre. Like, this is a life topic. I think, and I don't think I know, like, if you feel like you don't know what your purpose is, if you feel like, and this is just my own intuition talking, by the way, like, this isn't gospel, but if you don't know what your purpose is and you feel like you're just wandering around, that wandering is your purpose, because that is you tasting a lot of things, trying a lot of things to ultimately figure out what it is you want to do. It's literally that simple. So don't beat yourself up for feeling like you're wandering, because while a lot of other people feel like they know their purpose or have a good idea, your wandering is your purpose right now, because that's you trying and tasting things. And ultimately, that wandering is eventually going to lead you to the thing or things that then you know what your actual purpose is. But until then, like, just your purpose is to taste and to wander and to just try stuff and live and figure it out. And most importantly, not judge yourself for it, because you're going to find, and I learn this more and more every day that I try and drill this into myself, when you stop judging yourself and hearing outside opinions, that's when you really start to bet on yourself, bet on your strengths, and then not give a fuck about what anybody else thinks about it. And that's when you get real happy, real fast. And that's sustainable happiness, by the way. That's not, that's not the high of buying something or winning something, and then that high goes away, and then you go back to being miserable. That's you being actually internally happy, which is actually where this shit comes from and what matters. So there's that spiel. But I hope, and I know, I don't know, I feel like that brought somebody value. I mean, right now I got goose egg on the board as far as viewers, which is perfectly fine. Like, but whoever sees that and feels that, and I know people that if they were watching, I think they would get it. I hope that really helps just one person, honestly, because it's just true. Like, you sometimes just don't know. Like, you haven't done enough. You haven't lived enough. You don't know what you want to do, and that's fine. Like, just try shit. Like, so anyway, getting back to a few of the things that I maybe wanted to get to on my little list here. I typically don't do this, but just stuff I've had. I'm actually kind of curious. I don't even know what's on this list at the moment. Oh, this is the first one my eyes just went to. Cam Newton, and I know I talk about a lot about Cam Newton on this, at least on the episodes I've done, just because I feel like I know a lot about the Cam Newton and the Panthers, and I typically try to talk more about things I know. Like, I don't want to talk about stuff I don't know as well. But it's just this point. And if you followed it closely, you've seen that Cam Newton and Bill Belichick from what we can see and what we've heard out of Bill Belichick's own mouth and Cam's as well, these two are they're clicking. Like, Bill Belichick has given Cam Newton more praise in a week, 2 weeks, than he gave Tom Brady in his 2 decades in New England, or however long, 1920, whatever it was. We didn't hear that. I mean, yeah, we're on the Cincinnati. We're on the Cincinnati. Oh, he did fine. Yep, he did good. We're hearing a lot of good shit from Bill Belichick about Cam Newton. Like, that, to me, that's interesting because we're not used to seeing that. I mean, he's talking about how, he works harder than anybody else. Before, Bill Belichick was probably the first one to show up to Gillette Stadium every day, and now Cam's already there when he gets there. Like, just praising his work ethic, praising how bad he wants it. But it's a short but sweet point that I was going to get to next time I did an episode. So here we are. The reason, and I've talked about some reasons why I think Cam to New England is going to be so lethal. I talked in a prior episode about how there's just some type of magical pixie dust in New England that even last year when Tom Brady basically had deck furniture to throw to for receivers, and that'll be interesting because they really didn't upgrade any of that. So that could be interesting. But Edelman's back, so that'll definitely help. Even last year, Tom Brady had nothing for weapons, and they still they lost, but they made it to the playoffs at least, which is more than a lot thought they would. I mean, a lot of people didn't think they'd even make the playoffs. So now you got Cam there as opposed to Tom Brady, who can do, and Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator, has even said, like, he can do things that, like, I've not coached before. This is Josh McDaniels talking. Like, he does things that I've never had the luxury of coaching before. So, and that's why I thought this had the potential to be really lethal, because it's like Cam potentially, the health has been the issue. But if he comes back, and it sounds like he has, supposedly, you mix him with McDaniels calling plays, Bill Belichick, and that Patriot stuff that just works for some reason, that could be lethal. But here's actually something I didn't mention, at least I didn't really go into much depth on it, that I thought about a few days ago, maybe in a week ago, that I wanted to mention. We've talked about how Cam is on kind of a mission to stick it to everybody in the league that basically kicked him to the curb and said, no, you're done. Like Bill Belichick in New England, they swooped in. As I said at one point way back, that I thought, when Cam hit the market, that Bill Belichick might see that everybody passed on Cam, and he might come in there and be like, you know what? A lot of people think I can't win without Tom Brady. Why don't I go get Cam, scoop him up, and stick it to everybody in this league that kicked him to the curb and told me that I couldn't win without Tom Brady? And that's another reason, and that's the point I'm trying to make here. That's why this has the potential to be really interesting, because Cam is trying to prove to the whole league, fuck you. You kicked me to the curb, especially you, Carolina. You kicked me to the curb and said I was done, when really you just didn't give me a fair shot because you didn't give me time to get healthy and to prove myself. So I'm about to stick it, and you heard Cam say it. He's going it next this year. On the flip side, Bill Belichick also has a chip on his shoulder right now, which is not a good thing for the rest of the league, especially now that he's got Cam Newton. He's been hearing all the noise about people saying, and Tom Brady's heard it on the flip side. Tom Brady can't win without Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick can't win without Tom Brady. Who's actually the author of this dynasty that we've seen out of the Patriots for the last 2 decades? Who's the actual mastermind behind it? Some think it's Belichick, some think it's Tom Brady. Bill Belichick hears that, and he, just as much as Cam, is about to be going next as well, because he heard all that noise. So now you've got these two forces that both have chips on their shoulder against the whole league, and now they're working together. Good luck. Now, it may not work out. Like, I don't want to get presumptuous here and say that Cam Newton and the Patriots are about to fucking take out the Chiefs, because I'm not sure that they would. But there's also a lot of people out there that are not giving the Patriots much of a chance to do anything at all. And to me, that's like, I could see why you would think that, but there's just too much upside of what Cam could come back as. And we'll see here in a few days if we'll see what it's all about here real soon. But there's just too much upside of putting Cam Newton and Bill Belichick together, both with chips on their shoulder. And now both are basically praising each other, talking about how well this connection has gone since he's gotten to New England, these last few weeks. And we haven't even started the season yet. So I'm just saying, potentially look out. That's all I'm saying. So, what else was I going to get to? I don't really have much to talk about in the NBA playoffs just because, you see what it is. Lakers went up 2-1 on the Rockets last night. Clippers are up 2-1 on the Nuggets. I would love to see the Clippers get upset. Here's what I'd really like to see. Now that we're on to the NBA stuff, I didn't know if I was going to go into anything NBA related. But since this has actually happened within the last 24 hours, to me, like Clippers, Nuggets, not that big of a story. Lakers, Rockets, not that big of a story. Like, we're watching it. Lakers are up 2-1. Clippers are up 2-1. They're both going to win those series. Like, I hate it because I love this Jamal Murray evolution that we're seeing right before our eyes. Like, Jamal Murray's about to be fucking dangerous years to come. And he's already dangerous, but I don't know. The Clippers, and I actually thought about this very heavily on a personal level because I was debating after Denver won that series against the Jazz. I was debating picking up a Jamal Murray because I'm trying to. I haven't talked any about this, but I'll start bringing it up more as I go. I'm trying to get educated on sports cards. It's got a lot of potential as far as investing wise. I do a lot of. Basically, my means of income right now is I sell stuff on eBay. Like that's my means of income, and it's actually done really, really well. Like last month was the first month that I did it like serious. Like I've kind of been like playing around with it for the last year or so. Sell a few things here, a few things there. So okay, I can make some money doing this. But then I decided, you know what? I'm about to really do this like legit, like it's a job. And last month was my first month really in it for real. And I was very surprised that, okay, this can make some pretty good money. And I'm going to be releasing some more content on that as I go. But I say that because sports cards have the potential to be an even better investment right now than real estate, stocks. I'm talking like if you know sports and if you love sports gambling and that kind of high you get from sports betting, you can get a similar feeling when you're opening up packs and trying to find, potentially a really valuable Zion card or a Luka Doncic card or a Ja Morant. Like, people are going to start getting their sports betting fix opening packs of sports cards. I have not bought any packs just yet. I've actually, I'm trying to get a little more educated before I really get into it. I've only bought one card up to this point. It was a kind of a quick flip, just because I needed the money at the time. I bought it for 80, sold it for 100. But yeah, what was I talking about? How did I even get there? Oh, Jamal Murray. I was debating getting a Jamal Murray card because he was getting hot, and if you looked and, what you do is when you're looking up something's value on eBay, some people can get confused. They'll look up a product or something, but they're at what the prices that they're seeing is the listing price. It's not the price that it has actually sold for. So what you want to do is you want to look up a product and then go to the filters and go to completed items, and that will give you, what a product is either sold or even not sold for. It's good to know both of those so you can, decide what something's worth and what to price things properly. But as I looked kind of back over the last couple months on Jamal Murray, I mean, he's gone up. I mean, he went from $200, $300, $400 to now you got to get the right card as well. I mean, some cards are worth hundreds, others are worth $20, $30. You got to get the right one. And the really hot one that's going for hundreds of dollars, it started out $300, $400 a few months ago. Now it's trending, or was trending, around $700, $800, $900, even $1,000. So I was toying around when he was getting hot, debating on getting a card. And then I, realized, oh, wait, they're playing the Clippers, one of the best, if not the best defensive team in the league. Patrick Beverley's back. Do I want to risk that? I was debating getting a card, and then I was just like, I think I'm going to hold off. And I'm glad I did, because I looked at it last night. It's dropping a little bit. I mean, Jamal Murray's done okay in this series, but I mean, it's dropping. There's not many going for $700, $800, $900 now. It's more like $500, $600. So good call on me, I suppose. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I expect the Clippers to beat the Nuggets, and I expect the Lakers to beat the Rockets. What I was gonna say, and I'm gonna wrap up with this, because I actually have some stuff sold on eBay that I actually have to get. Those I'm trying to do this and look at my camera. The boxes. This is the dumbest thing I've ever done. Those boxes right there. That was weird. Those boxes over there in the back corner next to the cabinet. I need to take them to the post office. So that was just a weird way of just saying I got to go to the post office. So I'm going to wrap this up. How cool, because the Heat gentlemen swept the Bucks last night. In my opinion, it's the shock, and maybe to some not, because there was a lot of people, including Stephen A. Smith at the start of the year, that thought that and predicted that the Heat could be an underdog, dark horse type team come playoff time. A lot of people, I would say most people, not Heat fans, thought that was a little far-fetched. I didn't completely buy into it. Excuse me. It sounded good, because obviously the Heat picked up Jimmy Butler. I saw right away that Tyler Hero was going to be that dude, and he's ended up being that dude. I just kind of had that gut feeling about him. I don't know why. Kind of the same feeling I had about Kyle Kuzma to a lesser degree, and he's become a pretty solid player. I don't know. I could see a world in which the Heat were a force to be reckoned with, on a low key level, like kind of like I said, a dark horse type team. But then there was a part of me was like, nah, like there's just too many good teams that, the Bucks, the Raptors, the Celtics, like it just, nah, it's not. It's going to happen eventually, but not this year for the Heat. Well, like I said, Heat beat the Bucks, who were the favorite in the East, beat them 4-1, gentleman's sweep. And this is the first time that the Heat, which I knew it was something to this effect, because, I mean, the Heat haven't been in the playoffs really the Heat made the playoffs a couple times after LeBron left back in after the 2014 season, but they've not been like a legit playoff team since then. They just haven't. They've been like one of those teams like, okay, they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to have a first round exit. Like they haven't been a legit playoff team since LeBron left. Well, they're back in the Eastern Conference Finals now for the first time since the year LeBron left. So it kind of got my sports nostalgic wheels turning. Like everybody's talking about how Lakers Clippers would be an epic conference finals, which it will, and I think that'll happen. And I got to kind of thinking initially before the Heat, pulled this off against the Bucks. I was like, you know what would be kind of cool, because my money now and at the beginning of the season, I thought at the beginning of the season people were sleeping on the Celtics personally. Kyrie had left, they got Kemba Walker, and I thought and made the point actually on this very show. So back at the time, I'm like, why are people sleeping on the Celtics? Like, they clearly played better without Kyrie Irving on the floor for whatever the reason. Well, I know the reasons why, but they played better without Kyrie on the floor. The last time we had seen the Celtics without Kyrie on the floor, like legit in the playoffs, they almost beat LeBron's Cavs in a game 7 back in whatever year it was, the last year LeBron was on the Cavs, 2017 or 18 or whatever it was. I think it was 18, but I could be wrong. It was either 17 or 18. LeBron's last year on the Cavs. They went 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals with the Celtics. They didn't have Kyrie, and they damn near fucking beat the Cavs and prevented LeBron from getting to the finals for like a 9th straight year. So I thought, using that point, and the numbers clearly show that they played better without Kyrie on the floor, while he was there. Now he's obviously with the Nets. I thought, like, all right, now they're replacing Kyrie with Kemba Walker, who in my opinion he's 1B to Kyrie's 1A as far as player talent goes. Kyrie's obviously better than Kemba. However, when it comes to the grand scheme of what kind of value he brings the team, what kind of guy he is in the locker room, how the players work with him and click with him chemistry-wise, I just thought Kemba was going to be better for the Celtics and for any team really than Kyrie Irving. I just think he's better for a team's bigger picture than Kyrie. And so I thought that people were kind of sleeping on the Celtics a little bit, especially since they'd gotten Kemba in place of Kyrie. And so, now we're seeing it as, the Celtics move through the playoffs. I thought it'd be kind of cool to see the Celtics and Lakers in the finals, just because, they're like one of the epic NBA and sports rivalries. But I actually want to take that back. I would much rather see the Lakers and the Heat go at it in the finals than the Lakers and the Celtics. Just because I think the Heat getting to the finals would be a better story than the Celtics getting. I mean, they're both good stories. For all the reasons I just said about the Celtics, they were kind of slept on, just like obviously to more of a degree the Heat were. However, I think the whole story of nobody thought the Heat would get here at this point, at least not many people. So you factor in that Jimmy Butler finally gets to a finals. But I would say the big elephant in the room storyline would be the Heat back in the finals for the first time since the year LeBron left. And now who are they going up against? Oh, I don't know. LeBron's Lakers. So to me, that would just be just the mix of the underdog in the finals, and that underdog is in the finals for the first time since LeBron left, and they're going at it in the finals. Like, to me, that would just be so epic. And it might be, I mean, obviously the whole Cavs Warriors saga that we had for 4 years was obviously as epic as it gets. But I would say, because let's just be honest, I don't know. I mean, Raptors Warriors was good last year. The first 3 episodes or finals meetups between the Cavs and the Warriors, those were the good ones, like the trilogy. That was the good one. The 4th meeting of Cavs Warriors, after Kyrie had left the Cavs, like, everybody knew what was going to happen. And obviously the Cavs got swept in 4 games. Everybody knew that was going to happen. Like, that was the infamous, finals, the game 1 where the Cavs looked like, okay, maybe they got a shot to start this thing on the right note. LeBron had like 51 points, and then the ultimate JR incident that basically made the whole series crumble and created a meme that will last for generations. And ironically, now JR is back on the Lakers to try and right the wrong, as you would say. I don't know. I just think Lakers Heat in the finals this year would be the most interesting finals matchup we've had since the first three of Cavs Warriors. I think it would leap over the fourth Cavs Warriors matchup. It would leap over Raptors Warriors last year. I just think it would be more interesting and probably get more better ratings, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. So that is going to do it for today. This was fun. I enjoyed this one today. This was probably the funnest episode I've done so far, and I think that's probably a testament to literally I planned nothing. I just got up here and started, and maybe that's a testament to what I should start doing, and but it was fun. I got up, I had some things on my mind, just started talking, and I like that format for this show, and so yeah, revamped Wilbur and Gold show. Anything goes, any topic goes, any genre goes that we want to talk about. And so I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you tomorrow. Wilbur and Gold show. Take it easy.